Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Distance Limit podcast. My name is Sean, and I am in Dublin, Ireland. And this is Imran. He is in Thun, Switzerland, and this is our long distance friendship podcast. This is episode number 50, lads. And we're not going to go in, and we're not. This is a special episode. This is our 50th, and it's also 1 year since we started doing the Distance Dilemma. So we're going to shake things up a little bit this week, and we're going to do the out of context scenarios a little bit later. But we just wanted to kick things off. We're at a half a century now. We just want to say, guys, thank you so much for listening to us for the last year, for encouraging us to get to 50 episodes. It's been crazy to think that it's been a year that we're doing this, and we're at this landmark now. I think when we started, we hadn't got an exact number in mind of where we would get to, but the fact we're at 50 now is just crazy. So we just want to start off by saying thank you so much to our listeners. I'm going to hand you over to Imran because I've been talking straight now for a couple of seconds.
Yeah, I was telling Sean before we started the podcast, and one of the lads that texted me during the week, just congratulating us for 50 episodes. And I was even saying, I was only thinking back when we first started, I had nothing in the house at that point, and now it's I pretty much have the house completed. So that's how long it took me to finish it. But yeah, I have to say, it's just thanks for everyone for the support. I appreciate it a lot, and we're always getting feedback from people, and it doesn't go unnoticed. And I think for me and Sean, when we started this, it started off as a project just for me and him to stay in touch, and the amount of feedback I've got from people that every Monday they're listening and stuff like that, so we do really appreciate it, and I'm looking forward to more episodes.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and like we said, we kind of just want to really just showcase the gratitude. So please, this week, this is the week to celebrate the distance dilemma, and so to speak. So send us your favorite clips over the course of the podcast. If you want to send us an email, if you want to send us an Instagram message, if you want us to hear anything particular, is there anything you want us to talk about, if there's anything you want us to stop talking about, let us know. But yeah, we just want to kick this episode off by saying a massive thank you guys so much for anybody who's here from episode 1, or if last week was your first episode and you just found us. Big thank you so much for tuning in every single week, and all the love and support. And yeah, if you are new to us and you don't know who we are, we're old friends. Me and Imran have been close mates for over 10 years now. Imran moved to Switzerland. I also moved into my own house in 2024, and we just kind of started this as a way of us keeping in touch with life and current affairs and what's going on in Imran's hometown, in his country, what's going on back here in Ireland for me. And yeah, we just like I said, I'm just really grateful that everyone's tuning in every week and people are supporting us and just sharing love and listening to us fucking waffle on about breakfast rolls and the state of the Irish government.
What would you say your highlight is from the podcast? I have to say mine was us getting followed by Crossy Corner. That's up there with top 10 things that happened last year.
Yeah, I just I've been thinking about this. I was like, oh, what would I say is my favorite moments and stuff. I really liked when we started the political war on TikTok. That was really fun.
That was really fun. That episode after, when we were reviewing it, was hilarious.
Yeah, I feel like the first 5 to 6 episodes after we came back from our break were really solid.
Definitely.
I just think because at that time we had both you would come back to Ireland, and I went on holidays, and it gave us we came back really refreshed, and we had so much to talk about, so
definitely.
It's hard to pick. I think that TikTok thing was in there. I think that was 3 or 4 episodes after our break. But yeah, even the episodes the last few weeks have been really fun and interesting. It's kind of developed, because obviously we've introduced the format and a way of doing things. The podcast is quite different. It's not massively different to episode 1. But I think if you listen to this episode, what we're going to do today, and let's say episode 10 of the podcast,
yeah,
where we had done another milestone kind of thing, where we had done interactive things with our listeners before. I just think how we present it, how we format everything, it's just a lot more organized and class.
Yeah, I would say I'd say it's more structured compared to when we first started the podcast, because I had no microphone. I was recording off my laptop. I had nothing on the wall in this room. I remember everyone used to say I was in the back cave for 50 episodes. But yeah, I think that's what I was saying. The importance of the break was it was a refreshment for the podcast, and I think ever since we've done that, we've had more I'd say active listeners, and I think the my favorite thing about the podcast as well as doing them with you, is that we get to interact with people. Like, example for the topic for today, it kind of works in well of like the concept of why we have the podcast in the first place. Because like, although it is about me and Sean's friendship, it is on like the very concept of like many people experience this on like a day-to-day basis of being far away from friends and family. So I think that's like another big thing that I love about the podcast as well.
Yeah, like I like how neither of us are like not ourselves. Like we're both ourselves on the podcast. Like none
Yeah.
of us are. Like we
No.
don't put on a persona, or we don't change how we speak or how we like. Well, we might like say things in nicer terms. Like like it just so we don't offend anybody. Like we don't call anybody stupid pricks or anything like that. We might adjust our tone of voice in that way. Like but in general, we are like very much who we are as mates. Like that's what I'm really happy. And it was something that when we were changing the format, that I was afraid we would kind of lose that authenticity. But I think we've just hit like such a nice sweet spot.
I think that's all them years of growing up in North Dublin will just keep it for you.
Yup.
Yup.
But anyway, that's enough of that. That's enough crying. That's enough stroking our own egos. Me and Imran fucking kissing each other's arses. We're gonna move
We love to do it.
This episode we're not going to be doing the current affairs section, and we're also not going to be doing your dilemmas. However, we would really appreciate if you guys could send in your dilemmas. We've been sticking up on the Instagram story. If you go to the link in our Instagram bio as well, you can submit your dilemmas. They'll be back from next week, but we've just got a bit of a longer episode for the 50th episode this week. So yeah, if you want to send in your dilemmas, head to the link in our Instagram bio. We'll post on our story during the week as well. Those submissions are all totally anonymous, and we can't see who sends them in. Send us in stuff about your boyfriend. Send us in about your bitchy boss. Tell us something about the people down the gym. They were arseholes during the week. Or tell us that you went to a concert and you thought they were shy. I don't know, whatever's pissing you off this week, send it in to us and we'll talk about it on the podcast, and we'll offer you advice if you want advice, or we'll just say, yeah, life's a bitch, and get on with all of our lives. But yeah, back to the normal format next week. We're going to kick things off with out of context weekly scenarios and then move into the topic for the week. So, Imran, what is your out of context weekly scenario?
I'm excited to say this one. Okay. I entered my piss into a wall.
You entered your piss into a wall.
Yeah.
Is this your literal piss, like from your...
Yeah. I put my piss in a wall. That's what I'll say.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, this is a good one. This is like... Did this happen at home?
No.
At work?
No.
You put your piss into a... Did you just, like, have to pee and, like, you just pissed on the wall in public?
No. I'm not in Dublin anymore.
Was this, like, in some sort of public space?
When you mean public, you mean like there was a lot of people around, like outside?
Sort of, yeah. Like, was it...
No. It wasn't outside, no.
Did this have anything to do with, like, any sort of construction type of... Like, was there a methodology behind this of, like, if I do this, this will be beneficial to something in some form?
It'd be beneficial for me.
Because you had to piss.
No.
You put your piss in a wall.
Yeah.
So, did you directly pee into this wall, or did you, like, have to put your piss in a bag and then insert it into the wall?
You're on the right... You're in the right area there. Okay? So, like, you're getting it, but I don't want to give you it, so I'll let you keep going.
Did you have to pee into a bag of some sort, or pee into something to put it into the
Yeah.
wall?
Yes.
Did you pee in a bottle?
Yes.
Okay.
More like a cup.
Was this to, like, balance something?
What?
Do you know what I mean? Like, so you had a cup and you needed to add some weight to it, and you pissed in it to add weight to the bottle.
Why would I not just add water in the bottle? Why would I piss it?
Imran, nothing about this makes sense, right? So don't be shooting down my logical theories, because none of this fucking makes sense.
Wait, why wouldn't I not just fill the water bottle? I really want to know where he was going with that one.
So was this like a glass bottle, or like a drink? Is it a bottle that you had already had a drink from?
No, God, no. It was just a cup.
Right. So you put it... And this wasn't in the house. It was...
No.
And it wasn't in work.
No. Think about it for a second. Just take a second, right? Think about, why would I piss into a cup?
Because you have to piss.
But why do I have to piss?
Because you've had too much water.
No.
Because you had too much to drink, like
No, no, no.
alcohol.
I
Um,
think you're focusing too much on the premise now. Like think back to what I said. So I said I had to put my piss in a wall.
why would piss be going into a wall though? This is why I'm like trying to figure out the.
You're gonna be raging if you don't get it, because you're so close.
Is
Just
this
think
like
about why would a person piss into a cup?
because they have to pee? Like, oh wait, was it for a medical test?
Yes, yes,
Okay, yes,
yes,
yeah, yeah.
yes,
So you
yes, yes,
pissed
yes.
into a cup and it was put into. Why is it? Why is your piss going into a wall?
Okay, okay, I'm gonna give it to you because you were beating around the bush there. But so I was like, so I had to go get my bloods done, because of some medical issues I've been dealing with lately. And after I got my bloods done, she was like, I need you to do a urine sample. So she gave me the cup. She's like, there's a bathroom to the right hand side, and then you just pop it into the wall on the left hand side. So I was like, oh, grand. So I went in to take a piss. Weird thing is, she didn't give me a cap. So did my piss anyway. Washed my hand, put the piss beside the sink in the bathroom. I took the piss in my hand, and luckily, when I was coming out the door, there was a guy coming in. So I'm luckily like that I'd seen him, because if not, I probably would have just spilled my own piss all over him. So I let him come in, and then when I walked out, I looked on the wall, and I couldn't see anywhere like for me to put my piss. Like I seen this electronic machine on the right hand side, and I was like, I can't put it in there because there's no like slot for me to put it in. And then I seen on the wall there was like a little like cupboard, or per se, like a kind of like a door, like a mini small door, or like I would say like a hatch in the wall. And I just pulled it back, and then it was just like an open space, and I could see into the next room. And then as I put my piss down, the woman that had given me the cup had literally in a matter of like a split second, like just picked up my piss, and then I just closed the hatch. It was so weird, man.
Fair enough.
And then I was talking to one of the lads in work about it, saying like this happens back in Dublin. But I was like, in Dublin, I swear I've only had to do a urine sample once before in college for another medical procedure. And when I did that before, they gave me like a cup to close it with,
Yeah,
and I didn't have to put it in a hatch. Like I just walked back into the office and gave it to them. Do you know what I mean?
yeah.
So this was the first time this is the first time I actually had to put it in the wall, and I was like, what? But yeah, supposedly in Europe this is like a common thing.
I
Don't know
get it
per
from like
se.
a privacy point of view, like
Yeah,
sort of, but I mean, like when you're
I just
dealing
thought it
with
was
the medical stuff, you kind of drop the
yeah,
whole like I don't want someone to see my Mickey facade.
yeah,
Like it's like right, this
yeah,
is
yeah.
medical now. Like you know,
I just thought it was funny. It was like she was waiting just like for me to piss. Like,
yeah,
do you know what I
and
mean?
just
Like,
like nicks
yeah,
it.
yeah, like literally, like just went up, I just took my piss. But so yeah, we'll find out next week how my urine sample was. I just saying that morning I didn't drink any water, so it was like orange, like so orange. I was
TMI,
dehydrated to the
TMI.
max. Sorry, listeners. Anyway, moving on. How was your what is your out of context weekly scenario?
My out of context weekly scenario is a group of men shouting or screaming.
A group of men shouting or
No,
screaming.
screaming is probably more accurate.
Screaming.
Yeah,
Did this happen in the house?
no,
Did it happen in the supermarket?
no,
Did you go to a gig?
no,
Did you go to a football match?
no,
Did it happen at football?
no,
Oh, you're choosing at football. Where else would you be? Did it happen in the park?
no,
No. Did it happen on the TV?
no.
No. So you weren't at a gig. You weren't in the house. Where else do you be? Where else do you be? Were you at a restaurant?
No.
Were you by yourself?
Yes.
Yes. Were you in the car?
No.
No. Were you at like your family members, like your nannies or your...
No.
No. Okay. This is very, very small. Okay.
Think where else do I go like multiple times a week?
Oh, was that the gym?
Yes.
Okay. So someone's screaming at the gym. Was it a load of lads screaming or just one?
Yeah.
It was a group of people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Was someone doing like trying to like lift like heavy weights, and it was like five around him, and it was like he was having an orgasm when he was lifting the bar?
No.
you've seen that though, like you've
I
seen
know
lads
what you
like
mean. Yeah,
yeah,
no,
yeah, yeah.
it's not. It wasn't that.
Okay. Was it like a spin class?
No,
No. Was it just like a lot of lads messing and they were screaming?
no,
No. Did someone like injure themselves?
no,
No. Was it a choir?
no. Choir
I
in the
don't know
gym.
why. I don't
Just
know.
like a
I was
bunch of
just.
lads on the treadmill, fucking singing Ave Maria. You know.
Okay. So there's lads in the gym. Is it a group of lads or was it a group of girls?
Lads.
Lads. So there's a group of lads in the gym and they're screaming. Was it
Yeah.
like
Now,
three? Was it more than three lads? Like was it a group of people or
no, I'd say it was three.
three lads? Why are three lads screaming? Was it like they were singing a song but they were just screaming it?
No.
What the hell?
Think less about the gym itself, or just another thing that is in the facilities of a gym.
Oh, was it in the shower? Like in the showers?
Yes. Yes.
I don't want to know why three lads were screaming in the shower. Um, was it like really cold? Like the water was really cold when they turned it on?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
There you go.
Okay.
You got
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
the full gist behind that was I had like just come into the shower room in the
Okay.
gym on Monday, and I like was there and I was getting undressed, like pat myself down with my sweat towel.
Yeah.
And while I was in there was only three showers there, and there was three lads in the showers, and the boiler went while they were in the shower, so the water went from
Oh.
hot to like freezing ice fucking cold because it's freezing outside, like so it was
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
going
Yeah. It's cold.
straight through, like, and it like the like so like I was just sitting there, and like there's other lads in the change room as well who have like just had their showers and like coming in from swimming and going out to swim and going out to the gym, whatever.
Yeah.
And yeah, like you just hear these three lads absolutely like go like just screaming, like because it went from like a nice hot cozy shower to like ice fucking cold, like like I'm talking like it was below like 3 degrees, like it was freezing, and I know this because I got in the shower
Oh
after.
yeah. After and it was freezing. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, no, but like I think I would rather get into a cold shower than like have a hot shower stripped from me.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
knew going into it was going to be cold, like which made it a very uncomfortable shower, like but a cold shower is pretty good for you as well. So
Yeah. Yeah. Do
it,
you
it
wear do you wear sliders in the shower?
no,
No. So you just go in barefoot.
just raw dog it. Yeah,
Brave, man. That's brave. Brave.
yeah, because I just don't want to like have to pack a pair, because I will wear my
I
like
get it.
gym shoes to the gym, and I'll have my Crocs in my bag for when I'm
Yeah.
leaving and driving home. But like I don't want to get my Crocs soaked full of like that water, because it's a mix of the water, because you've got to walk across like the changing room, which is wet from not only the showers and people coming and going,
And all
but
that
it's also
sweat.
linked to the changing rooms from the swimming pool. So like that floor is
Oh, right.
soaking
Soaking. Yeah,
regardless,
yeah,
like
yeah.
all the time. So I'm just like at the point where like I just don't want to like have another pair of something in there just to literally wear it for like 10 seconds and for it to get soaked and be in my bag. It'll just make my bag smelly and damp and stuff, like so.
I'm telling you now, Crocs owe us a bag by how much we talk about Crocs on this podcast.
Oh man, I'm still waiting for that sponsorship to come in. Still waiting for
Yeah,
it to
yeah.
come in.
Any day now, any day now, any day now.
There's not an episode of this podcast that I'm recording that I'm not wearing my Crocs. I'm wearing my Crocs right now. I'm
Yeah.
constantly wearing them.
I'm actually, mine are actually outside. I've got the Birkenstocks on today. We proper like granddad mode, man.
I've got my Shrek socks on today. My Luminous
Oh,
green Shrek
Nicola
socks.
will love you.
Yeah. Yeah,
Class.
that's out of context weekly scenarios. And we'll move on to our topic for the week now. Like I said, guys, we're not going with the usual format, so it's just the topic for the rest of this episode now, because we're celebrating our 50th episode. So we've got some interactive bits. We put some stuff out on the Instagram story during the week, and we asked you guys to submit some voice notes and some messages to us, and we've got quite a few to get through. So thank you very much to anybody who did send their stuff in to us. Yeah, we'll get through it. I think we're gonna start off with the voice notes.
Yeah,
Uh,
the before Sean starts there, the topic for this week is actually about homesickness, and I did reach out to people as well to ask how they deal with homesickness as well. It's very on the concept of the distance dilemma, and I'll let Sean then bring the first voice on in.
Cool. Yeah. So this person moved from Portugal to Switzerland.
Hi Imran, sorry for the delay. And so yes, I feel homesick. And lately I've been feeling like the longer I stay in Portugal, the harder it is to come back. So like for example, now I stayed 2 weeks, more than 2 weeks in Portugal for Christmas, and then to come back, like it took me a long time like to resettle, because like I go there, I adjust to the routine there, and then I come back and I have to readjust to a completely different routine and also different people and everything. So I think that's the hardest part. uh, I talk to my family a lot, so I think that helps, and also with my friends. um, but I would say the things that make me less homesick is going back not as long, but like more time. So I try to go almost every month, honestly. Or sometimes I go 1 month and then my parents or my family comes the month after, so I get to see them at least every month, I would say. And also lately I've been feeling more connected when I watch Portuguese content. Like I now have a Portuguese VPN, so I can watch the news in Portuguese, and like now it's the election, so I feel a bit more connected. And yeah, even like sometimes I listen to Portuguese people speaking on the train or something, and it's something that it immediately recalls back home. So yeah, it's cool. Yeah, with friends, yeah, in the beginning I felt more homesick and I didn't know how to readjust to all these changes and also their changes. So when I would go back to Portugal, I felt very overwhelmed because I wanted to meet everyone, but then I couldn't. And then I felt like some friends were almost like charging me for not being with them. So in the beginning it was hard, but then now I found like the good place where I still talk to them, and I'm still connected to them, and whenever I go a bit longer than like 1 or 2 days, I try to be with them. Yeah, and we keep up with each other, so it's good. And I also have some friends from Portugal, like from before I moved to Switzerland, which I think helps a lot because it's people that know you since before, even though I don't think I changed much. But yeah, it always like calls you back home, and yeah, I think that's nice. And also having friends visiting and being able to show them around and show them my new friends as well here. um, I think it's super important to connect everyone and to feel less homesick. But yeah, that's it. Sorry for the long audios.
Thank you very much for sending that one in. Definitely,
What stood out
definitely.
to you there? I think the first one for me was coming home and falling back into the routine. I always notice that when I come home, it's because I think it's like you're overloaded with like so much friends and family, and it's like it feels like I don't know how to describe it. It's like pure happiness for like 3 to 4 days, and then once you're back on the plane and coming home, it's like the dust settles off. It's like that's not what it's like when you actually live at home. And I think you fall into that like false concept of like it's great to see everyone, and like you even notice it all the time. Like when I come around and I'm seeing you, like I'd be knackered even when I'm coming around to you because I don't do it intentionally. It's just because I'm just constantly going back and forth, meeting different people. I also thought it was great that she said that she has like a VPN, so she gets to watch the news in Portugal, and she gets to watch, I suppose like Portuguese content on her For You page and stuff. Because I think for me that I'm also very grateful that when I see other people away, is they're always posting about when they go home how important it was to see everyone. And I definitely have like I've recognized, and I've said it many times myself, about how much I miss the traveling aspect of Ireland because I never actually did it much when I lived at home. And I think that's like going to be big for me when I do return home. Like I actually want to travel a lot more around Ireland to the countryside and see places I haven't seen before. So yeah, thanks very much for that voice note. I actually really liked enjoyed that.
Yeah, me too. And like that was similar for me. Like I thought, like it was surprising to hear how much of of a shift in routine it was. Because I would think, from like, and this is purely me, like not like having never not lived in Ireland.
Yeah.
That it's almost like um kind of similar to like, you know, that Christmas period where like, you know, things are a bit all over the place for a week, but like once you get that first week back into work out of the way, then like, you know, things kind of like the gears shift in, whereas this person, you know, said like it's something that they do struggle with, and like that can maybe be because like, and they mentioned that like, you know, they go home so regularly, or they have people come over so often. I think that can maybe like have an impact, that it's kind of maybe throwing them for six a little bit, and like then like it's making those highs super high but also those lows super low. Whereas
Definitely.
I feel like when I like, you know, from like talking to you guys, obviously those highs are really high and you do have those low moments when you come home, and then like whenever you are feeling homesick. But like I think because you guys go a longer stretch of time without coming home, especially now, like not so much in the first year, but like now I feel like, you know, you kind of settle back in and the lows don't seem as low for as long, if you get me. Like,
Yeah.
you know, that's just something that kind of came to mind for me when I was listening to that.
Yeah, definitely. Like I was saying, I think I was saying to you last week, or I think it was off camera. I was saying like it's be the first time I haven't been home in 6.5 months, and I'm coming back in March for a weekend. And like recently, I've just been feeling like really homesick, and I don't know if it's like I'm homesick in terms of like I just miss seeing people, or is that I'm homesick in terms of like just being in my local area and like surrounding myself with, you know, people I know and things that I've grew up with. And I think like recently I've been like reminiscing a lot on like growing up when we were like 18, 19, you know, going to park, playing football, all that kind of stuff has been coming flooding through my memories and stuff. And I think for people like this person here, for example, like they say they go home every month. I think that because they're around that so much, that the lows are like very high, and like you're saying, the lows are very low and the highs are very high for this person because they're stacked so much. Where for me and Nicola necessarily, we haven't been going back, you know, every month. It's every like kind of 6 months, 5 months, 3 months. So it's feeling a bit longer for us. So it'll be interesting to see, you know, how I feel when I do come home this time, and I'm sure we'll talk about that on the podcast in a later
And
episode.
like we've mentioned loads of times before for you as well, like it's a luxury that you can
Yeah,
come
of course.
home. Like
So
so,
lucky.
and like if something like like as we're recording this, it's like 1 o'clock in the day.
Yeah.
If we finished recording and like there was an emergency at home, you could realistically be home
Yeah.
tonight or tomorrow
Yeah.
morning.
Very
You
lucky
know,
about that.
which is like really lucky that like, you know, there's a lot of people who have done what you've done, but they're on the like, you know, there's so many people from Ireland that have moved to Australia or Canada or the USA, or
Yeah.
there's lots of people in Qatar now, like, you know, where like not just the financial aspect of it, but like, you know, flights aren't going out daily, or the flight is so long that like, you know, you might not get over, like it might take you the guts of a day or two to get here, whereas like, you know, like if there was to be some form of an emergency, like, you know, for good or for bad, like, you know, you could
Yeah.
be here possibly by tonight or tomorrow morning
Yeah.
at the latest, like, you know.
Yeah, you're right. Completely agree. We'll move on to our next person. The next person moved from Ireland to Malta, and it's another voice recording we have.
Hi Imran, I'll try to keep this quick. So homesickness. So just for context, I've been living abroad now for about a year and 5 months, and homesickness now is completely different to the start. At the start I didn't really get it because everything was so fresh. You know, you were too excited about your new kind of life that you kind of didn't look back, or you didn't care if you were missing out on an occasion or a night out, because, you know, you're in this new place and making friends, different cultures, different scenery, everything like that. So it didn't really hit in the first 6 months to a year, to be honest. But now it's hit a lot. I think there's a few reasons for that. Maybe like the longer you're away, you've gotten used to your surroundings. It's not as exciting as when you first moved here. Things happen, you know, people's birthdays, Christmases, especially Christmas this year. I was lucky enough to be able to go home, and that really helped. But last Christmas I wasn't home, and it just wasn't the same, you know, being a Christmas in a sunny location. It just didn't feel right. My brother and my sister-in-law are about to have a baby, and again, it's something I'm not going to be there for, which makes it harder. So like you start missing these moments, especially because that's the first grandchild in our family. So it's hard. It gets harder the longer you go on, I think.
So how I kind of deal with it, and again, it's only kind of hit me a lot more so from maybe October onwards. I do a few things to kind of help me. One being I talk to my friends, even though that sometimes makes it sound like it can make it worse because they're telling you all the things that they're doing and you're not there. It also makes you still feel like in the loop. You know, you still feel like you're getting the gossip, you're getting the crack. And at least then if you do come back or you come for a visit, you don't feel so out of place there, because I know that's what a lot of people feel like, that their life has completely changed and they go home and it's like, oh, it's like I never left, or vice versa, it's like I don't know you guys. So staying in contact when you can is, I think, the best thing for me to be able to feel a little bit of home away from home. If I'm really feeling down, the best way for me to kind of cope with it is food. So there's only kind of one proper pub where I am. Like, there's plenty of pubs, but one that does proper pub grub, and like Irish food, like, you know, steak and Guinness pies, fish and chips, all the stuff, but it's made like it was literally pulled from home kind of thing. So that's the main thing that I would be doing. And then if it ever the case that that's in Cura, which I don't think I would or wouldn't even, I would just try to remind myself like why I'm here, like taking a day to go to the beach, which I know there's beaches at home, but it's just not very common for us, as you know yourself, to go to the beach when majority of the year it's shit outside. Whereas here I can go to the beach, throw a stone and I'm at the water, have beautiful, you know, I think it's like sunny 340 days of the year here or something like that. So have a nice sunny day, be outside, and just kind of remember you did it for a reason. But little things like that, like, okay, get your little slice of home from going to the pub and talking to your friends, and then just kind of remind yourself that you did it to grow, not because you didn't go because you didn't love where you were from. You just did it to grow.
I like that. There's a lot of nice sentiments in there.
Yeah, a lot of stuff to kind of dissect there. One thing I noticed that you said, it was like about missing big moments. I think she was saying there that her brother is having a kid. So I can only imagine how, you know, difficult and not. I think I don't want it to come across as bad, but sometimes you feel this kind of sense of guilt that you're not around for, you know, big moments like that, because you're like, I'm not in the life of, which essentially is going to be her nephew, you know what I mean? And I think, or niece, sorry, she didn't specify, but I can only imagine like that kind of feeling for her, what she must be thinking, you know. And it's definitely something like I I would say because of like maybe our age status right now, I'm in a lucky predicament where like none of my friends are necessarily at the stage of marriage or children. But like I cannot, like if one of my friends' parents or God forbid like someone's family member died, like like for example I can use Sean here for example. When his mom passed away, unfortunately I wasn't able to come back for the funeral, and there was like a major sense of guilt that I had because of course like I knew your mom really well, and also like you're one of my best mates, so like there was a sense of guilt that I had felt unconsciously, but I obviously knew with the consequences when I came back and we were talking and stuff. We kind of realized like, in some sense you were just happy enough to even just receive something from me is just like a reminder to say, like I'm still there, and in your thoughts and that kind of stuff, because it can be a really hard day for you as well, and then for everyone else in the family and things like that. So yeah, that's something I kind of picked up on what she said there.
Yeah. Yeah, I really liked the sentiments that she had in there. Like I really liked her. I liked her attitude towards it.
Yeah.
I really liked the fact that like she was very aware of while she was starting to feel it, there was also a reason that she left the country as well. There was also a reason that she decided to move, and having those little bits of indulgence where she goes to the pub and talks to her family, but then also makes it a point to be like, well, no, going to the beach and enjoying the weather, and like really like embracing the lifestyle that she has now been able to give herself by moving country. Like I really like the mindset and the attitude of that. Like that really stuck out for me.
Yeah, I think also just kind of the concept of her, like she was saying, dealing with homesickness. Like she said, like connecting with friends, so like you don't feel out of the loop. And I actually got this idea from one of our listeners. Funny enough, is I like me and a couple of the boys from back at home. We don't really text anymore because I felt like when we were texting, it was kind of like the same conversation over and over again. So we've started sending like voice notes. And you know, a couple of boys are actually living abroad and some are at home. And it's just nice because it's kind of like a way for everyone to like just keep up with like what's been happening, you know, either in their personal lives or, you know, if the lads went to the cinema or, you know, like if someone we know, a bit of gossip, you know, when we like the Irish not to have a bit of gossip. And I think that like that for me stuck with me what she said because she was very present about like there is a side where you can feel like you're actually more homesick by talking to them, but then also the other side of it is like you're still in the loop where everything that's been going on, you know, the friend group and family members and everything like that. So, yeah, very, very insightful that person was. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much. I enjoyed listening to that one, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're going to move on to some of the messages that have been sent in. That's it for the voice notes. But moving on to the messages. This person moved from, they're originally from Italy, and then they moved from Ireland to Switzerland. So, yeah, I'm going to read out their message here. I have a lot to say about homesickness. I've lived far from home for 9 years now. From personal experience, I can say it doesn't get any easier. Every time I see my family and eventually have to return, it takes so much strength and a lot of tears to be held back. What makes me happy is that I'm building a better future for myself here. I am able to help them as well. When I feel homesick, I cry a lot. And because I'm alone, I call them and I instantly feel better. And I love you guys as well. I'm going to assume that one's for us. The love you guys. But if you also meant it to your family as well, understandable. Shout out to your family.
I think the strength thing there is what kind of stood out to me. You know, it takes so much strength. And I think that's real honest. I've kind of seen a lot of people saying that from the two voice messages before. You know, I can only imagine, you know, I'm in a lucky in a sense where I'm with Nicola, so I have someone to like rest on where like this person necessarily, maybe I'm sure she has friends, but I'm sure it can be difficult when you're by yourself in that kind of situation, especially being so far away from your family, and it's been 9 years as well, so I'm lucky, like I've only experienced a year and a half now, so I can't even imagine what 9 years feels like.
Yeah, I think it's crazy to like see that it's 9 years and they're still saying that like it doesn't get any easier and they still really struggle with it. Like, you know, I would have thought after that amount of time, like, you know, so like, you know, we talked previously a bit about like the high of the highs and the low of the lows, and I thought, like, you know, and obviously like it's not the exact same for everybody and everybody's circumstances are a bit different and reasons they moved are also different as well. But I would have like, you know, the two messages that I'm kind of comparing, one of the voice notes from earlier and this one, they both seem very close to their families. And it doesn't seem like they moved for like any like, you know, bad blood reasons, like, you know, and it's just really interesting to see. Obviously you love your family, and like that's never going to change, and sometimes the distance can make that be a bit more apparent or emphasize it a bit more in your mind and in your life and stuff. But I just thought it was really interesting to hear that, like, you know, after 9 years, like it's as big of a struggle for somebody who has left the country only a year and a half, 2 years.
Definitely. We'll move on to the next one here because we know we've got a couple to get through. This person's from is Romanian, but she's born in Ireland and then she moved to Switzerland. So she said, homesickness for me is a sensitive topic. I'm really happy in Switzerland and I don't feel like I'm missing out on the life I want, but I still miss home. I miss my family, the ease of being around people who just get me, and the comfort of knowing everyone is close by. A lot of it comes from missing big things like birthdays and other celebrations. But when I do go home, it's weird how normal everything still feels, like I never really left. It makes a distance easier to deal with. I spent my first Christmas away from home this year, and even though I ended up having a really nice time, the build-up was hard. Way harder than I expected. It wasn't even Christmas Day, it was weeks before, knowing everyone at home was getting ready together and I wasn't part of that. Even just thinking about not being with my family felt heavy at times. Once Christmas actually came around, I was okay and enjoyed it, but the weeks before were way tougher than I thought it would be. And then the person said, how I find to deal with homesickness, the best is by keeping in contact daily with friends and family, and whether that is FaceTime and my mom or FaceTime with my mom or sending voice notes to my friends, but it does help. I made new hobbies and built a new routine and new habits to make things a way more settled, but it did take a lot of time for me. I always planning trips home and people are always coming to visit, so it makes goodbyes a lot easier knowing I have something to look forward to. It's very honest message there as well again.
Yeah.
I love the thing, and I actually am big on this in my life, is like I always planning trips like home, but I'm like always like kind of more on the process of like always planning ahead. I think is great, because it's like always something to look forward to. I seen some podcast recently. This guy, I don't know if you've ever seen him. He like interviews people on the train and he asks them like, "What's your take?" You know,
Oh
sometimes
yeah,
they're
yeah.
on it, yeah. But one guy came on and he said, you'll never be sad in life if you've always got something in the post. And I that stuck with me for some reason, because I think if you always got something to look forward to, whether that be a gig, meeting up with somebody, I think you've always got that concept of, you know, I have something to look forward to. And I think that like really stuck out with me when I heard that. And I'm just reading that there as well. And I also think the person saying, I'm guessing that they're really close to their family as well, but I'm saying that like they didn't come home for Christmas this year. And then, you know, if you're stuck into a pattern like every year with your family, you know, and being around, you know, all your cousins, your mom, your auntie, everybody, it can be really difficult to step away for that. So I think it was good that they enjoyed their day, but I can understand how it was difficult for them as well.
Yeah, of course. It's like like you know, I've talked and we've talked loads about like how we're like not Christmas people, but I get for somebody who is big on Christmas and has those kind of traditions and stuff, like, you know, like that, why that is such a like is such a hole in that period of the year. Like, you know, I'm really glad to see that, like, you know, the build up was tough, but, you know, once the day came around and the dust actually settled, like, you know, things were okay in the end, like, you know, and hopefully that means, like, you know, in future years when, like, you know, if something similar happens, like if they don't get to go home, you know, that like it's like that build up won't be as bad. Like, you know, it's yeah, it's kind of like ripping once the band-aid's ripped off, like, you know, you've felt that now, you know, it'll be similar next year, but it won't be as bad. It'll get easier as you like every year as you go on, like, you know. And like you said, like, always having something booked in, like, so if it's not Christmas time you're going home, like being able to go home at a different time and knowing that you'll see these people again, you know.
And that's where, like, I think you were saying there, kind of like the luxury of being able to come home is like a major thing. Because like I can only imagine like how it feels for somebody that, like you were saying before about living in Dubai or living in, you know, Australia and America, how difficult it is to come home. Not just like on timing, but also like prices are always way more expensive for people. Like finances is a big thing because around Christmas time they raise the prices because they know everyone's coming home. So I think, like you were saying there, like it's, you got to count yourself lucky when you have these opportunities to do go home and stuff like that. And I think for me, the one thing was about when I do come home, and I don't think I did it the first time, was like try and be in as much as present as possible. Because, like, you know, when you're constantly going back and forth trying to meet loads of people, I think when you're with the people, it should just be nice just to feel comfortable around them. Because I feel like I suffered a lot with when I was coming home, like subconsciously was like, is my relationship with my friends and my family going to be the same than it was when I was living at home? And I have noticed for me that that's just me, myself, subconsciously putting negative thoughts onto myself before I'm meeting them. But then when I notice when I'm there with people, I feel much more comfortable. And I felt that, I definitely felt that with you and Simone when you came here. Like, I remember because I'd seen you at home for like maybe 2 hours, and then I hadn't seen you like for months before that. And then when you came, and then it was great having you here. It was like we just smoothed out, and it was like I'd just seen you yesterday. I don't know if you kind of felt the same, or how you can speak on that.
Yeah, because you know, it's understandable that when you guys are home, you're in a rush and you have a lot on your plate, and, like, you know, while you want to be in the moment, you also have to keep looking at your watch and making sure that, you know, you're not going to be late to go and see the next person, because you obviously want to squeeze in as many people into the time you have as possible. So like I think it's something that, like, everybody really, like, understands as well. And I think we may have touched on it before, of, like, you know, when you only have those, like, you know, let's say it's 2 hours, for example, like, you know, if you only have 2 hours with with the people that you're hanging around with. Like, you're mainly going to try and focus on having like a really good time together. Like, so when we came over I came over to you guys in June last year, we were able to have more DMCs and like peel back layers to things and explain the context behind certain situations a little bit more. Whereas like where when you guys came here, it's like you kind of want to just do the highlights, so to speak. Like when you don't like while things like may have been not super groovy or super like all fantastic. Like you also don't want to bring the mood down or like make those 2 hours not enjoyable. Like because it's a thing of like we like when you guys come here, we want you to have a good time. Like and like just focus on that. Whereas like when I have friends, like I had a friend come over this week, like and we had deeper conversations because like we know they can come over again, or I can meet up with them again next week if I want to, if you wanted to talk a little bit more. Whereas while we can do that over the phone with you, it's different in person. Like it's nice to have that, you can feel the energy in the room a little bit more. There's also like the physical touch element to it as well, where you can give each other a hug and stuff as well. Like so yeah, that's kind of what's come to mind for me.
Yeah, man. Nice.
This next one is a little bit different to the other ones that we have, because this is a domestic one. This person actually hasn't moved out of Ireland. They've just moved out of home. But I thought it was a really important one to also to read out and bring up, because like while a lot of our listeners do have moved country and stuff, there's a lot of friends of ours that are still living in Ireland, and they've maybe just moved out with their partners. They've gone into a house share, or they've just moved out of their family home or whatever. So yeah, I'm just going to get straight into it. I think the only time I ever really felt homesick was when I officially moved out. I'd lived with my partner for a few months here and there, so it wasn't like I hadn't been away from home for a while. I think it was just when it hit me that I wasn't going to be home. I wasn't going to be home for a couple of weeks, and it was a long-term thing. I remember my partner had made me breakfast, and I finished my bacon bap, and I just burst into tears.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like
gotta respect the bacon bap,
Yeah, it was a very very solemn bacon bap by the sounds of things. But yeah, like I just thought it was important to bring up stuff like this as well, because like even if you're only moving across Ireland, or if you're moving 20 minutes down the road, it's still such a big thing to move out of what is your family home as well. Like even if it is just across Dublin, like it's still like quite a big thing. It's something I would have experienced myself, but my circumstances were a little bit different. I left for shall we say health and safety reasons. I don't know how else to describe it, but I moved out because I didn't have a very good home environment, so I moved out with my grandparents. So when I got to this point now where I'm living with Simone now, like it felt like it didn't feel as heavy as it may have for some other people. Like especially when I think about Nicola, like when I saw Nicola moving, like because Nicola is so close with our family, it was like the like her moving away, obviously that was to Switzerland, that was including the distance and stuff, but then like when it was me moving out of my house and my mum, it was like total opposite. I couldn't get out there quick enough, like but like it's just like interesting to see the contrasts.
Yeah, and I think I relate more to you, especially with terms of like living, like, because I moved out when I was 17 into like a family friend's house, and then obviously then I moved in with Nicola then about 5 or 6 years later, maybe seven, a bit longer. And I think for me it was a lot easier, but to see Nicola experience it, I can only imagine how difficult it was, because you're in an environment of a household with 4 people and you never left that situation, and then to go from that 25 years of your life to then living abroad, I can only imagine how difficult it was to her. And like we've had conversations and stuff like that. Although like I know she's grateful and everything, but I know how hard it is for people that grow up in really close family environments. It must be one of the most difficult things to go through. And I think it does get easier with time, but I definitely think it does play a major part on like your subconscious and stuff. And I think that's why it's so important to keep in contact with family and friends. And I think the more you do it, the easier it gets. And yeah, so yeah, nice. That's a nice one from that person there.
And it's also like very different, like especially if you're like moving from your family home and you're moving in with your partner. Like I'll always test me and Simone were very lucky that we kind of got to trial living together a couple of times before we actually moved in. But like being with your partner, being in love for years, and like living with your partner is a bit of a different relationship dynamic. Like, because you don't miss them as I don't like you miss, but you don't miss them as much because they're there so much. Like now, like right now, me and Simone see each other 7 days a week, and there's maybe 5 hours a week where maybe there's 8 hours a week I don't see Simone, or I'm not in the same room, or I'm not in the same building. And that's when I'm going to the gym, when I'm going to play five-side, if I'm going to a gig or the studio or whatever. But like it's on average only 8 hours a week, whereas like beforehand we may have only seen each other for 9 or 10 hours a week, and that like shift, while it's brilliant and love it, it also brings up its own challenges and its own like unique disciplines, and like having to adapt. Like when you grow up in your family home and you're around your brothers and sisters and your parents or whatever, like their mannerisms, how they're going to react in certain situations to certain things, that like the dishes, like the washing, like who's cooking dinner, like doing the weekly shop, like how they're going to react. Whereas when you then move in with somebody, it's even if you've been with them for years, like and I know friends of mine who like have been together for years and years, but then when they move in, it's a different dynamic. Like things just change a little bit because you're constantly around the person. Like it just it evolves the relationship, and it just I don't think challenge is the right word, because like me and Simone, like I said, me and Simone got to trial and error a couple of times before. Thankfully, just because whenever someone was away, we would move, come over to each other's house for 2-3 weeks, or in some instances, we got to stay together for 2 or 3 months at a time, which it made us know that we could live together and get on fine. But we were very lucky to have that. Not every couple gets that, and you only kind of find out until you move in, or when you move in with each other.
I think that's what's so great about growing in a relationship, is it's never the same as it was when you first got together. And I think we kind of talked about it before, kind of off camera, there's different steps you go in a relationship, and me and you now are kind of at a similar situation where we both moved in with our partner, and it's yeah, I don't want to use the word challenge because it's not the right word, but it's the adultery daily routines that you have to relate to together. And it's kind of it's, I wouldn't say it's trial and error, but once you kind of crack the code, it's so smooth. And I think that's one thing I appreciated with me and Nicola, is I didn't feel on a personal sense that it took long for us to crack the code. And I think there's many people, and I've heard stories before, people have been together years and they move in together and they just can't live together. And stuff happen relationships and things like that. And not everybody, can live in the same environment and stuff. So I'm lucky in our situation that it has worked out well. And I know for you the same. So yeah, I think it's just another step in the life journey, bro. The life journey. But yeah, that's nice. I'll move on to the next one just because we're cautious of time here. So the next person is originally from Greece, but they grew up in Ireland and then they moved to Switzerland. So they said, due to being from two countries and having two homes, now a third, I've learned how to deal with homesickness since I was a kid, so I've always missed out on stuff. I think the best thing I've learned is to appreciate the place you live in and remember why you're there in the first place. We usually also romanticize situations we're missing out on, so it's better to focus on the experience and memories you're getting instead of the ones you're missing. That's nice. I think that person is straight to the point about being present where you are. And I think, again, not everyone picks this up as quick as other people. Because I was even saying to Nicola, and I think she was saying the same, there's this sometimes where you feel disconnected to where you are at a certain point. I remember years ago I went to a gig and I was just really nervous at the gig. I didn't feel present when I was there. Now I stayed to the whole time of the gig, got the bus home with a couple of the lads, and I got home into bed and I was thinking I don't remember anything from the gig. It was really weird. I just felt completely out of body at the whole time of the gig, and I just wasn't there. Now I had a lot of family issues that were going on and personal things that were happening in my life. I was college and work and things like that. So I think it's it kind of over time you learn how to be more present. But I think this person sums it up beautifully by saying romanticizing situations so that you're not missing out on. I think that's major when you're living abroad, that can happen. I don't know if you kind of felt like anything like
That's
that before.
that sentence is brilliant. Like I think
Yeah.
that really stands out. Like, and it's so true because I can imagine for you guys that like not like just and from the voice notes and from like what I've been hearing from the submissions and stuff, like there's like a big emphasis of like missing people's birthdays and missing people, like missing like events and stuff, but like sometimes you're really not missing out on much. Like sometimes on people's birthdays they just go out to dinner and that's it. Like you've actually missed out on is a meal, like and they've talked about the same things that you've already talked about with them on the phone, like, or over text or whatever like that. Like that's not to say that like feeling like missing out on those events isn't valid. It absolutely is, like but I just really like the way this person's put about romanticizing it and like making it into a bigger deal than it needs to be, than it really is. Like sometimes it can just be super simple. Like I'd say it very fair enough if like something big, like there was if something happened, like a proposal, or something was announced that was like massive news, and like that happened at that event. In that case I'd be like, oh yeah, fair enough, that's a very fair thing to romanticize missing out on. But I think in like 9 out of 10 instances, like they play out fairly routinely. So yeah, I just, like I said, I just thought that was really good. I really liked how that person phrased it.
Yeah, thanks so much. Very, very nice on that one.
Yeah, moving on to the next one, we've got this person has moved from Ireland to Malta, and they say, so I moved from Ireland to Malta on less than a week's notice, leaving home and a big girl IT job just to take a big leap where I'd always seen people on Instagram going to the likes of Australia or Canada, so I felt like it was my time to move abroad too. I arrived with no job or apartment. I stayed in a hotel, and I got lucky to find a €300 gorgeous room in a big apartment by the beach. Not a thing in Ireland. My Malta room would go for €1,200 in Dublin. My daily life completely changed from 1.5 to 2 hours of unreliable Dublin transport to a 15-minute by the sea walk to work, daily swims, and a much more social, balanced lifestyle. To meet people, I took a job in an Irish pub, even though I never worked in hospitality before, and it quickly became home away from home, with Irish regulars and staff. Of course, I miss my friends and my family, so much my mum's hugs, my dad's fry-ups, and just miss being around them. But oh my god, Chinese. I miss the Chinese. Very valid. I think that's something I would struggle with as well.
Yeah, I do.
But yeah, like I think there's like a lot of like nice sentiments in that one as well, like similar to like the last voice. Now this just must be a thing in Malta. If you're gonna emigrate, lads, Malta just seems to be the place to go.
Seems like a spot, man.
Everyone's just loving the sun and the lifestyle out there. Can't blame them as well. But yeah, it's just another like nice sentiment of like while there's definitely elements of homesickness there, like this person's really choosing to focus on like the reason that they left, like like Dublin traffic and the price of renting in Dublin and stuff, like they're really focusing on that and being like, this is something I can't do in Dublin, whereas over here you can just enjoy your lifestyle. Even like I've been, as somebody who worked in hospitality for 7 years over here, like I hated it. I absolutely, well, like I say, I hated it by the end of it just because I'd done it. But I'd say in that context, working in hospitality and like bumping into other Irish people and like it must feel like a home away from home, like as this person said.
Yeah, like I love sometimes like as most of you know, I do work in hospitality now over here, and like I love bumping into people in the bar or like just catching someone's accent and just having like conversations about why they moved abroad, or how long they're living in Switzerland and why they got the opportunity. And I don't know, it's just a nice sense of home that you're not expecting, because you walk around so much and all you're hearing is German or Italian or French, and then I don't know, you just hear some country accent, or you hear someone from like inner city Dublin out of nowhere, so, and you're like, what are you doing? Yeah. You're like, what are you doing here, bud? But yeah, no, it's great. I definitely relate a lot with this person. I think that was a really honest one. They did also add a second message to kind of like when they did come home. I'll just read it out now. They said, came home for Christmas and was with everyone. I say every single day, thinking maybe I should move home. I miss this, but reality hit me that it's Christmas time. All the good nights are this week. Everyone is off work. looks more appealing with the lights up. But I knew I'd be back trying to make plans and wanting to have hands to see my friends. But I've learned that while homesickness is real, staying in Ireland wasn't financially or mentally suitable for me. This move isn't about running away from home or being like everyone you see on Instagram. It was about choosing a life that actually feels worth living and getting up every day for me.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think
like
again, really honest
focusing
again.
on the positives, like, you know,
Yeah,
which is great, and like it's also like quite hard to do as well, like, you know, when you
yeah,
are away from everyone, like, to be so, like, you know, positive about it, and like, you know, really hone in on those things and like double down on them. Like, you know, there was somebody else who had mentioned as well, like, you know, and this person had mentioned like just doing things like going to the beach, going for swims, going for walks, and like embracing the lifestyle you've now given yourself.
yeah.
Like, and like doubling down on those things and focusing on those things instead of choosing to, you know, yeah. And I say choosing to very lightly, like, you know, but instead of, you know, maybe choosing not to go out or not, and like, you know, sit in and cry a little bit more, which like it has to be done as well. I'm not saying that, you know, I'm not saying like you fucking little bitch sitting in and crying, whichever cop on. I'm not saying that, lads. I'm not saying
Get your ice cream,
but what
Phil.
I'm saying is, like, you know, it just fair play for, like, you know, focusing on those positive elements, like, you know.
And I think it's great as well, like she said there, it was about choosing a life that actually feels worth living and getting up every day for me. Like, I do understand sometimes, like, and being at home, I have definitely felt it. It's like sometimes you feel like you're in a rut. You know, it's the 9 to 5, the rat game, and your friends are not available as much, maybe due to partnerships or, you know, life gets in the way, like me and Sean have said so many times on the podcast. And like fair play for this person to just get up. You know, they said there it was like less than a week's notice just to take the opportunity and the chance. And I'm happy now for this person that it's working out for them and stuff like that. So yeah, I think for anyone, if you get the opportunity, definitely think about it. From a personal perspective. Like, you don't know what's out there, and
Yeah, especially Malta. Malta really seems like the place to go,
yeah,
man. Like, honestly, like,
yeah.
all the
I've heard
from Malta
I've heard
are
great
super
things
positive.
about Malta. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. But yeah, thanks so much for everyone that sent them in. We do really appreciate them. I know there was other people as well that wanted to send some in, and they maybe just left it a bit too late. But we do appreciate them, and I will get back to you during the week. But yeah, thanks so much, guys.
Yeah,
Really
guys, thank
appreciate
you very
it.
much.
Do you have anything else to talk about homesickness? Like, is there anything that you feel like you've talking to family members or friends that like you maybe have a bit of perspective on?
I don't know, like, because Simone has asked me about that. Like, I live 20 minutes away from Blanche, like, you know. But for
Yeah,
the first year we lived here, when I wasn't driving, well, like, I was on my learner permit, so I wasn't able to drive home to Blanche. Like, if I wanted to go to Blanche now, I could be Blanche in 20 minutes time if I wanted to now, like, you know. But for that first year, I didn't go back to Blanche an awful lot, whereas, like, now I go back to Blanche, like, every 2-3 weeks, like, you know, just to go and see my nana,
see
or go and
everyone.
see my auntie, like, or see
Yeah,
one of my friends, like, you know. So like I never really felt like super homesick, but I felt weird when I came back to Blanche. Like, you know, it was like a weird sense of like, oh yeah, this is very familiar and like nothing's changed. But then also, you know, it's like, oh, this isn't like my home anymore. Like, you know, well, like, you know, it is home in that sense of like, you know, I grew up here. This is where I'm from. Like, you know I can walk the length and breadth of Blanche like the back of my hand, like, you know. But
yeah,
there was just like something different, and it's something Simone had always said to me before we moved in together, was that she didn't like Blanche because it was so busy, and it's just full of people, and the shopping centre's always manic, and like the buses are always packed, and it's like and Blanche is the second most populated area in Dublin outside of the city centre, like, you know.
yeah,
So I think because I grew up in it, I was just so used to it, and then
yeah.
like I have noticed it more and more when I go back, and I'm like, oh my god, that like was so fair. Like,
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know, have you felt that whenever you go back to Blanche, of like, you know, like how everything kind of is just so busy and kind of almost kind of rushed as well there.
I think as well because when I do go back, I try avoid the shopping center as much as possible because like when I'm home, I'm not there to shop. Like I'm there to see friends and family and stuff. But one thing I'd say is like when I'm in the car and I'm driving from the airport or like going me up with friends and stuff, and I just see how busy everything is, and I feel like when you're in an environment like that and when things are moving so quickly, it's hard for you to actually enjoy it because everything is moving so quickly. Whether that be like people or congestion or car parks or like you've been in the shopping center when it's busy near Christmas time, like it's mental. It's just so many people around, and I feel like it's really hard in an area to be present like that. And I feel like like myself and you both grew up in Blanchardstown. We spent like loads of times there, meeting friends and families and stuff. And like I'm the same. Like I could walk around Blanchard with the back of my hand. Like I know it. Like it's the same thing. But for me, I felt over the years looking back, like now as I'm a bit older, it's like everything was moving so quickly that I couldn't really be present there. And I feel like that kind of person said there, I don't know if they're from Blanchardstown or wherever, but I'm imagining say like it can be very difficult to understand, especially at Christmas time, like everyone is free, and then you go from that to then everyone's back in the rat race and no one's around. Because like that's something I experienced when I was like 21, 22, trying to meet up with friends. Like I was not seeing them like maybe once, I would see them like once a month because everyone's in the same boat. You just get so busy. And I think that maybe, you know, this person here said, for example, like they went to their, my daily life completely changed from being on transport for 2 hours to work, daily swims, and social balanced lifestyles. I think maybe when you're abroad, you get a bit more opportunities to do that, but because maybe it's not as busy. I don't know. That's just my opinion on reading on Malta.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shout out to Malta again.
Yeah, man. Like I said, Malta seems just to be the place that everyone wants to go to, or everyone should go to, maybe. Yeah,
Yeah.
I wouldn't say I've ever like, you know, really dealt with homesickness in that way, because, you know, like I am like 20 minutes away, like, you know, but it's weird, like, especially it's like I sometimes I drive through like the estate I grew up in, because I still have some friends in that estate, and like I'll go and I'll collect them, or like, you know, I'll go over to their house or whatever, and like I'll drive by my old house, and like, you know, and it's nothing about like my mum being dead around like that, but it's weird to drive by that house and think there's somebody else living their life there now, like, you know, with, like, you know, me having grown up there and, like, you know, become the person who I am, and for better and for worse, you know, for all the experiences that I had in that house. Like, it's just weird to see a different car in the garden and that sort of stuff as well, like, you know. And again, it's not like a yearning or a sickness, it's just it's strange, you know. And it's
Yeah.
it's yeah, kind of similar how I feel about like Blanche in general. Like, you know, like I know it, and like I'm going to be in Blanche in 2 days' time. You know, I'm sure I'll be in Blanche again next week at some point.
Yeah.
Like, you know, so like it's not homesickness in any way. It's not like super similar to most people's messages and stuff. But like there is like a sense of like familiarity, an uncomfortable familiarity in a way is probably the best way to describe it.
I think it's also interesting, like we relate so much of like life experiences and reminiscence on like environments. Like you were saying there, like your family home. Like for me now, I knew like I don't know if I said this on the podcast before, but I grew up my first 8 years of my life in Cavan, and I know now if I like saw the cottage I used to live in, like I just know all the memories would flood back of playing in the garden and, you know, being young, building the fence with Dairy, and just like spending time with my mom and stuff like that. Like all them memories, like I would come flooding back because of just one area. So I feel like it's kind of cringe. I know people say a lot. It's like a very like a mom code, but like home is where the heart is. And then like I kind of agree with it, because like most of my memories or my favorite memories are with my friends and family in Ireland. So that's where I feel like if when I do return home, it will be like a nice awakening. As much as I know I will miss with the land and the mountains and the people I've met here, and, you know, the opportunity that me and Nicola have had here. But for me, like I've said before, like nothing will ever be Ireland for me, because that's home at the end of the day.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Like it's even like little things like for me over here, it's like we'd said there, we both know how to walk around Blanche like the back of our hands, and like I also know how
yeah,
to get from Blanche to Castleknock to Dunboyne to, I know how to drive or to walk or to like get the bus. I know how to, like, you know, navigate my way around that like the back of my hand. Whereas like even now, like if you asked me to go to a certain place in Ballyfermot, I would have to Google Maps it. It might be 5 minutes from my house, it might be walking distance from my house, but I still don't know where things are. Like, you know, like Talent and Clondalkin are like right beside us as well, and like I don't, I now, because of like, you know, some recent experience, I can now drive myself over to the Square Shopping Centre. But like, you know, if you were to be like to me, oh, can you go to like Tala Hospital, I'd have to maps it. Whereas like I guarantee, like, you know, if I'm in Blanche, Conley Hospital, I can get there like that. Like I don't need to maps it or at like that. I can come up with 3 ways to get there. Like, you know, it's just stuff like that as well that is kind of interesting, that like I've thought about before, being like, oh, like if I was in Blanche, I'd know my way to like the closest hospital, the closest sports shop, the closest, like, you know, the best, like, you know, my favorite kind of Chinese or whatever. Like, you know, I do miss my Chinese from Blanche. That's one thing I do miss. I do miss my old local.
I'll never not miss takeaways living here, man.
Yeah.
I'm dying for a chicken roll. I'm dying for one.
Yeah, I'm debating what to make you when you come home. So I'm like, should we just like go get chicken rolls? You know,
Should we just?
or,
I
like,
think we should just go on a crazy takeaway and just get like a bit of everything,
fair enough.
and just pig out. If you want to see me and Sean do a mukbang, please let us know. But we just won't talk though. We just won't talk. It'll just be us eating.
I'm thinking we probably won't get time to do a podcast when you're over here.
No.
But
No.
like we could just like when we're eating, just film us recording a mukbang and just stick that up as the podcast for the week.
I'm down for it. I'm down for it.
I'll use my nice crisp microphones and stuff, all the stuff that I have in storage and stuff, and just whip them out and just like have them at our mouths.
The This is Dilemma ASMR video mukbang.
Right, I think that's probably the best place to wrap up the podcast for the week on the promise of a mukbang. Like I said, guys, we will be back next week with the normal format. Back with, you know, we obviously did a context of our topic, current affairs, and your dilemmas. And if you would like to send us in your dilemmas, please send them via the link in our Instagram bio. There's a link to a Google form sheet. There isn't any data taken off you for that. You don't need to fill in a name. You don't need to fill in emails. All totally anonymous. So, like I said earlier, if you want to bitch about your boss, bitch about your partner, if something pissed you off in traffic this week, if you want some advice on something like that, please send them through on the Distance Dilemma Instagram. It's the forms. It's called Your Dilemmas. And yeah, guys, thank you very much, and thank you so much again, guys, for getting us to 50 episodes. Thank you so much for listening every single week and sticking with us through our breaks and putting up our shy and our sound checks and our breaks to go take a slash in the middle of recordings and all the, you know, the hectic stuff that comes along with this. So yeah, massive thanks very much, guys, for all your love and support over the 50 episodes and for the first year of the podcast. We're officially a year doing this now.
Great to see you. Great to see you. I'm actually dying for a piss as well right now.
Okay, right. Let's get this wrapped up, guys.
Thanks so much, guys.
This has been the Distance Dilemma episode number 50. My name is Sean. I'm in Dublin, Ireland. This has been Imran. He is in Thun, Switzerland. This has been our long distance friendship podcast. We will be back next Monday at 7 a.m. 6 a.m. Irish time, 7 a.m. Central European time. Until then, guys, thank you very much, and we'll chat to you again next week.
Peace.